Hey everyone, I think we should begin now. So I would like to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Harsh Sharma. I'm one of the ideators for the Unfolders Initiative. So this initiative is basically a series of interviews that we do with industry professionals, across multitudes of domains where we try to unfold certain aspects of their lives, their journeys, their teachings, and other things that we wouldn't normally find otherwise. So today, for a second session, we have somebody who's done extensive research on the Arthashastra and has written over 15 best-selling books. He teaches leadership and strategy to organizations like the Indian Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and hundreds of others. He currently is the Deputy Director of Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies, where he aims to change the education system for the better, try to make better leaders for our future. He is Mr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, and I welcome each and every one of you to Unfolding Chanakya with Radhakrishnan Pillai. I personally am quite excited to have this session, have this interview, because as a person who's just about to enter the professional world, the executive world, I think the lessons that I take away from this session are going to be quite valuable. But before we begin, I would request each and every one of you to just keep your microphones muted, turn your videos off to maintain the decorum of the session. And we'll be having a Q&A session towards the end of the session where you can put in your questions, if any, in the chat box, and we'll try to answer as many as of them. Now, with that being said, I would like to begin the session, and I would like to introduce my co-host Harsha and the co-ideator for this initiative as well.
Hello, sir. Welcome to the Unfolded Initiative. So we are very glad to have you. And yes, sir. So we can start off with our session. So, sir, first question which I have in my mind is that what have you been doing this whole lockdown? Like, what have you been doing apart from the sessions we know? But apart from that, what have you been doing? So you are muted. If I'm not wrong.
Hi, I'm audible now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So first of all, thanks to the Unfolders team, Harsh and Harsh Square, and everybody who is behind the scene and now in front of the screen also. First of all, thanks for inviting me for this particular discussion. And I believe that I am also going to learn a lot from you. It's not only that you're going to learn a lot from me. So your first question that you had is that what have I been doing in the lockdown? So it is in one word, I would call enjoying with lot of work. So I've been enjoying a lot. The lockdown keeps us home. That's what everybody says. But that doesn't mean you're in a prison. At home, I'm having nice food, time with my family and my parents, with my children, my wife. I'm reading a lot. This is a room which is full of books. And I also wrote books. So I wrote 2 books. I've actually, read a lot of books, did a lot of research. Interestingly, I'm doing a lot of webinars. In the last almost 2.5 months that we've been in the lockdown, I've done almost an average minimum 2. And today I'm doing 6 webinars a day. So today is my actually 4th webinar currently. And I got 2 more to go after this also. So I think lockdown for me has been one of the best phases of my life. I've been very active on social media also. So if you follow me, all my platforms, have, not only become double or triple in followership, it's actually gone so big that I was quite surprised. Let me give you an example. My Twitter followers before lockdown was 3,000. Today it is 25,000. So you can imagine, and that is organic growth without any Google ads or without any expenses. Okay? So I think for me, this was the best thinking time in my life. So I'm working almost 18 hours a day. I'm thinking, but remember what I said, I'm enjoying my life. This is the most productive time of my life. So for me, lockdown, maybe for the world outside, maybe I can't go out like any one of us. But inside, I'm doing a lot of work, creative work, and I'm having lots of fun. Thank you so much.
So we heard that you have been writing 2 books during this lockdown. So can you tell us something about it? Not everything, but at least thoda karke.
Yeah. So I have completed 2 books and already started writing my 3rd book, which is also into completion. so the 2 books that I've already written and completed, the first one is called Chanakya and the Art of Winning. And that's very interesting. Chanakya and the Art of Winning, how to win in life. So, that's one of the books. The second is I have written a children's book called as Chatur Chanakya. I don't know if you heard about this book. It's a very popular children's book. So I have written the second part of it. So the first book, Chatur Chanakya series, was called as Chatur Chanakya and the Himalayan Problem. And the second part, so we are making a series out of it, and very soon you will see movies also coming out of it. So Chatur Chanakya's part 2, that book is written and completed, and it is called as Chatur Chanakya and Return of the Bully. So, you know, we always have the Iron Man returns, or the Spider-Man returns, or Batman returns. So we have Chatur Chanakya coming back. So I think two different spaces. One is a self-help book, Chanakya and the Art of Winning. The second is a children's book. So to shift between, you know, thinking like, you know, how to guide people in their lives to how to guide children in the right way of thinking. So that is the two books. And of course, the third book I'm writing about, you know, research. So how to actually make Chanakya relevant to the academic world. So all you students can actually learn it in your colleges. So two projects completed in the lockdown. These are the two books that I was talking about.
So we are very glad that you actually gave us a brief about your 3 books as well in our session. So also, like everyone knows that you have been writing on Acharya Chanakya. So my one question: who is Acharya Vishnugupt Chanakya? Can you tell us something, a short history on him?
Yes, yes. So you very nicely pointed out, he is Acharya Chanakya. Acharya Chanakya means a teacher. In the olden days, you know, they were called acharyas, how we call today teachers or professors in college and universities. His father was also an acharya. His name was Acharya Chanakya, and the son of Acharya Chanakya became Acharya Chanakya. So he continued to follow his father's profession. Now his life was not very easy. So his father was an advisor to a king called as Dhananand, who was from the Magad kingdom, which the capital is, you know, Patliputra, what we call today as modern day Patna. So the king was bad, he was corrupt, he was not governing properly. So Acharya Chanakya actually created a revolution, and he made a public uprising. And for that he had to cost his life. And the little Chanakya, he ran away and he went to Takshashila University, where he studied the subject of political science and became a teacher of political science itself. So what went to Takshashila, a little boy Chanakya, came back as Acharya Chanakya. And Chanakya was also known by 3 names: Vishnugupta, Kautilya, and Chanakya. Vishnugupta was his first name. And so if you like, you know, the first official name in school records, as we say. The second is called as Chanakya, which is the most popular name, but actually Chanakya is his pet name because his father's name was Chanak. And the third is Kautilya because of his strategies. He wrote a book called as Kautilya's Arthashastra, based on which I have done my research and PhD, and all the books that you spoke about, the 15, now there are 17 books, they're all been based on Kautilya's Arthashastra. So here is a person who was a young boy, but very, very clear to achieve his goals, and that is the story of Vishnugupta, or Acharya Chanakya, or Kautilya. All 3 names of the same person. Thank you.
So we know that Acharya Chanakya and his disciple Chandragupta faced 2 greatest tyrants during their time, which was Alexander and Dhananand. So they were just 2 versus the whole of their like full Samrajya and the kingdom. How did both of these had that never give up attitude, and how did they maintain that never give up attitude?
Yeah, so first of all, understand many people give up because they think that the person in front of you are bigger than you. I'm a small person and the enemy is big. Okay, so a lot of people get frightened because of the size of the enemy. Now think about Acharya Chanakya. He was not a king. He did not have an army, but he was fighting with 2 of the most powerful people. As you rightly pointed out, Harsh, it is number 1 is Alexander. And if you read in our school textbooks, he's called as Alexander the Great. He wanted to conquer the world, and he was a tyrant. He wanted to come, conquer everything. Chanakya did not have any military power. Same thing with Dhananand. You know, remember, the same Dhananand had killed his father. So actually he was fighting against a person who can kill him also. But where did he get that strength from? He got his inner strength from 3 things, and that anybody can develop. The first strength that he developed was called as Shastra Ki Shakti. He had studied the subject of political science. So if you have studied any subject, you get something called as intellectual strength. Suppose you go and give an exam without studying, you will already feel weak because you're not studied it. But imagine if you've studied a subject and you're already a gold medalist, so you'll have that extra confidence, right? So Chanakya had studied the Arthashastra of the previous Acharyas. So Kautilya Arthashastra is his contribution. But he knew that if I don't have an army, I actually can create armies. He was not a king, he was a king maker. So the first strength that he got was by study. So I'm sure all of you who study, who are knowledgeable, who are more informed, will have something called as the strength of the intellect. The second strength that he had, what most of us believe in, it's called self-confidence. A lot of people may have knowledge, but they lack in self-confidence. So you have to be internally powerful also. So first is called Shastra Bala, the study of the scriptures, or study of the subject. The second is called Atma Bala. So you should have inner strength. So a lot of people have knowledge, but they don't have willpower. A lot of people have willpower, but they don't have knowledge. So Chanakya had both. And the third most important thing, he had faith in God. And it is called Ishvara Shakti. So a lot of people have willpower also, they have knowledge also, but still they don't succeed. So for that, you have to understand you should have a spiritual base. You should have faith in God. See, just because you're doing hard work, just because you're intelligent, doesn't guarantee success. And as you rightly pointed out, Harsh, that he was not fighting against some normal person. He was fighting against the two most powerful people of his generation. So remember one thing, you have to be intelligent, you should have willpower, and also the grace of God. So Chanakya operated from all the three, and we see the results. He was most successful. And even today, we are talking about such a great person who succeeded in everything that he undertook. And using the same formulas, even we can succeed in our lives. This has been my personal, success story also, if you want to say. I have believed that study is very important. I believe that you should have a strategy. I believe you should have willpower. And most important, the God's grace also should be there with you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So very, very brief, but it is very deep if we have to think on these 3 points. But sir, coming to today's point, today's world where mental fitness is talked about. Now, we wanted to ask that how did both of them keep their mental strength? Like they had these 3 qualities, but apart from that, what was the one thing that kept them running? कि नहीं मैं कितनी भी बार हार जाऊँ, मैं वापस उठूंगा and जो भी and it wasn't their vested interest, they did for the people and the religion. So what was their mental strength and that one thought which kept them going?
In fact, Harsh, you answered the question yourself. Number one, if you want to do something, you have to have an unselfish goal. See, people who have selfish goal or those who are self-centered, and they will fight with others. But Chanakya, remember, was not fighting against anybody. He was actually having a goal to achieve, which was larger than his own self-interest. He wanted to create, think about this, he wanted to create a nation. And you would be surprised to know that, even though he defeated Alexander and Dhananand, you would be surprised to know he did not kill them. So if he had enmity and personal grudge, do you think a person whom he defeated was the same person who killed his father, Dhananand? If it was revenge the attitude, then he would have easily killed Dhananand, but he did not. He let him go and saying that go to the forest and now cut down it. Same thing with Alexander. Alexander was defeated, but he was not killed. Interestingly, the story goes that when Alexander went back, he was defeated and he was sent back. While going back, the general of Alexander's army, Seleucus, he asked Chandragupta Maurya, whom he had made the king, to get married to the daughter of Seleucus. And everybody said, enemy's daughter, you're going to get her married to our kingdom? And he said, yes, because you have to respect them, because even from the Greek culture that Alexander came from, we can learn something. And it is a historical document that Hellenes was married, and then Chandragupta and Hellenes, the genes, their children are still there. In fact, there is a research on Greeks in India. So what is very important is that you asked this wonderful question about mental strength. Okay. And today we talk about mental health in a very major way. I'll tell you 3 tips from Chanakya's life. Number one is that I told you about willpower, but willpower should never be converted into jealousy or competition against somebody else. And this is where you have to understand, when you compare yourself, when you compete with yourself, this negativity comes in your mind. But willpower is not negative, it is positive. And you're not thinking about competing or defeating somebody. You are wanting to achieve the goal. And unfortunately, we always have been taught in our education system or in a society that you have to compete to become a winner. Okay, so if I become number one, that means somebody else will lose the game. So in a whole class, only one person can be the topper of the class. Only one person can be a leader. This is something that has added to the mental stress of everyone. If you look at the education system, I always say, no, ours is not an education system. Ours is an examination system. So we are so stressed. So you don't have to have major problems to have mental health problems, even small little things, exam fever, and the comparison that starts with our parents also. So it's a very, very important thing to know that please don't compete with somebody else. Please compete with yourself. This is very, very important. So you develop willpower, but you're fine. If somebody is winning in another game, it's okay. You don't feel jealous about it. You don't feel competitive about it. And this is where we should develop. If somebody is good at something, that's great, good. You should congratulate him or her. But you're good at something, develop that. See, everybody cannot become everybody cannot become everything, isn't it true? But everybody can become something. And that is what you should focus on. So my question over here, my suggestion to your question is that if you want to develop mental health and mental fitness, okay, first of all, stop this whole two things called CC, which is called competition and comparison, and develop two more C's, collaboration and cooperation. So Chanakya collaborated with everyone. He cooperated with everyone. He was not a king, but he took everybody's army along with him. So remember, forget the two C's in your life, competition and comparison, and develop the two C's. And that is cooperation and collaboration. And then you will become the real C, that is Chanakya. So remember these 5 C's in your life and you will definitely succeed. So no mental health problems, only strategic thinking. So when your mind is free of jealousy, hatred, comparison, you know what happens? It becomes a very pure mind. And then you can think very clearly, strategically. Instead of thinking of how to defeat the enemy, think about how to achieve your goal. They're two different things. Huh? Instead of thinking how to defeat your enemy, you should think about how to win your goal. Many times we think if you defeat the enemy, only you win the goal. No, you can be a winner without actually defeating somebody. So you have to understand most of the problems of mental stress is always about comparison and competition. Get it out of your way and believe me, you will be happy with yourself. Never compare. Be a nice person. In fact, to that extent, I would also say never hate your enemy. It can cloud your judgment. Chanakya's life is full of inspiration where he defeated the enemy, but he did not hate the enemy. If you know this secret of defeating your enemy, but not hating your enemy, truly, you will have mental freedom, no mental stress, and you will emerge as a winner in life. Thank you.
So if we wanted to translate that into Hindi, we can say, Shresh nahi, uttam bano. If I'm not wrong.
Bilkul, uttam bano.
So I would like to pass on to my co-host Harsh Sharma, and he'll ask you some few questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so you've spoken about the books you've written recently, the 3 that you mentioned right now, which you've been working on in the lockdown. But I would like to take it back to the very beginning, the first book that you wrote, Corporate Chanakya. I would like to know why did you think of writing that book in the first place, and how did you make that idea of the project a reality?
Okay. So first of so Harsh, first of all, I never thought about writing Corporate Chanakya. Corporate Chanakya happened in my life. So I'll tell you how it happened. So I've been writing as a child, sometimes in newspapers, sometimes articles in journals, magazines, that I've been doing. But my study of Chanakya was growing bigger and bigger day by day. And one day I was giving a lecture on Chanakya. So I was called by the Rotary Club, and it was a lecture organized in the Taj Hotel. A lot of big guys were there. And I was speaking on Chanakya. And, I can speak very well. All of you can feel it. So I've been fortunate that I'm a good speaker, and now it is becoming a profession also. So when I was speaking on Chanakya, I remember in that particular event, 3 people came to me and said, Radhakrishnan Pillai sir, you speak very well on Chanakya. Yeah, I have done a lot of research and study on it. Yeah, but I want to know, sir, can you actually write a book on Chanakya? I said, writing a book on Chanakya? I can write, but never thought about writing a book. The first question I asked them is, who are you? So 3 people said, we are from a company called as Jayco. I said, Jayco, so Jayco Books. So yes, we are publishing company. So we had the chairman, Ashwin Bhai Shah, and then his son, Akash Shah, and the chief editor, Sharma ji. So three of them were there, and Akash and Ashwin Bhai. And of course, Ashwin Bhai, the chairman himself is telling an offer, saying that, why didn't you write a book to us? I said, wow, a lot of people write books, but they don't find a publisher. Actually, the publishers found me first, and then I started writing. So to be very frank, I don't have any, sad stories to tell the world. I written a book and I got rejected by 50 people, 100 people, like J.K. Rowling, she got rejected by so many people. But there is a saying by one of the greatest saints. His name is Rumi. He was a Sufi saint. So Rumi said it very nicely. Sometimes you choose your path, and sometimes the path chooses you. So I never wanted to do anything in Chanakya and all those things. It just happened. So book writing was also never something that I wanted to do. It happened. And let me tell you very honestly that every book of mine, we talked about the 15 books, I have actually never approached a publisher. The publishers have approached me. That is the reason why I've written so many books with so many publishers. And they actually rate me as India's #1 business author. And said, wow, not bad, right? So answering your question, Harsh, book writing happened to me by God's grace and of course Chanakya's grace. So जिंदगी में एक बात याद रखिएगा, जो कुछ हो रहा है होने दो, और आपके पास जो आ रहा है आने दो. शायद आपको पता ही नहीं कि जीवन का रहस्य शायद उसी में छुपा है. So something is happening, let it happen. If something is coming to you, let it come. Don't object it. You never know. The secret of your success in life may lie in that one opportunity that knocks at your door. So keep your mind open and your future will open out for you. I'm repeating it. Keep your mind open. The future will open out to you. Thank you.
That is quite profound, sir. I wasn't expecting that story. I mean, you normally don't expect such things to happen. It's most of the time it's people going to publishers with their ideas, with their stories, but it's a twist. It's a good twist that I didn't expect. So you mentioned the books that you've written with other publishers. So it's obviously in and around Chanakya and his teachings and his lessons that he had. Could you give a crux of some of the books that are the most popular and that probably resonates with us being students and us being people who are just about to enter our careers and our corporate life?
So I think what is important is that all my books, as you know, have been bestsellers, but you put it very rightly, they are for different segments. So, if you look at Corporate Chanakya, generally it is for the corporate world, the working executives. Then, for children, I have written Chatur Chanakya. Then there's a book called Leadership called as Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership. If you like to listen to stories, there is a book of mine called Katha Chanakya. If you want simple one-liners, then I have got my own book, Chanakya Niti, my version of Chanakya's Nitis, and also, Das Spoke Chanakya. Then if you want to be very, very, clear how to live your daily life, I got a book called as Chanakya in Daily Life. Then if you want strategic thinking, then I have got a book called Inside Chanakya's Mind, Anvikshiki and the Art of Thinking. If you want to make money, then there is a book called Chanakya and the Art of Becoming Rich. Chanakya and the Art of Getting Rich. If you want to be a fighter, then there is a book called Chanakya and the Art of War. So think about it. So it's like a volume and different subjects that I have written on, and I'm still exploring new possibilities. So it's not over yet. And the one interesting question that you asked is that, especially for students. So I would say, if you're a student, you should read all the books, because that's the best part of your student life. You're supposed to be reading books, so you should not think. So I have a lot of my students in Mumbai University. So what they have done is they've collected all the 15, 17 books and kept it, and they read one by one. Okay, so I would suggest all the books, but specifically if you have to start with your life, I would suggest 3 books to be read. Very, very important 3 books. The first one is Corporate Chanakya itself. Well, that's my most popular book, my first book, and still doing very well. All my books put together, we have sold more than 1 million copies. So it's not like a small number. So Corporate Chanakya is easily available. You can go on to Amazon, Flipkart, or any online shop. It will get delivered the next day. Corporate Chanakya, because it prepares you to the corporate world. And please understand, corporate world doesn't mean only the business world. Okay, now very, very important. So when you're looking at Corporate Chanakya, many people in the initial stages used to tell that, I'm not going to be working in a company. I'm not going to be a businessman. I'm a homemaker. Okay. or maybe I'm working somewhere. But please understand, the whole world has become corporate. Okay, for example, not only businesses are corporate, it's unfortunate that, even today hospitals are becoming corporates. Schools are becoming like a corporate function, education institutions. Then you look at probably things like, the government institutions. I don't know if you know this, a lot of government institutions have this policy called as PPP model, public-private partnership. And CEO, this position is there even in governments. There's a CEO of a Zilla Parishad. There are IAS officers who are CEOs also. So when people say corporate world or corporate Chanakya, the first impression that they have is that is it connected to the business world or entrepreneur world? I would say definitely yes, but don't limit it only to the business world. So my first suggestion is that wherever you want to go, please read Corporate Chanakya. Reason is that it has got very simple chapters, right from how to attend an interview. So I'm sure all of you may be worried about your campus placements, your career. So it's got one chapter about how to attend an interview, but there's another chapter. It's called how to take an interview. Because as you grow in your career, this is the first stage of your life. But after 5-10 years, you'll have to build your team, isn't it true? You join a company through an interview, but later on you grow in a company after taking interview of others. So Corporate Chanakya is all about starting point to ending point of your career. So please read Corporate Chanakya. The second book which I would definitely encourage is Chanakya in the Classroom. That's a very interesting book. Chanakya in the Classroom. It tells you how to be a good student, how to study well, because even now, all of your students, and it also tells you not only how to study as a student in student days in schools or colleges, it also tells you how to be a student for life. Like even now at this stage, I'm a formal student. After completing my PhD, I'm doing my research at the Mumbai University. I'm doing my D.Lit. I'm studying law. Not many people know about this. So I'm a student formally at 45 years also. So you can continue studying for life because student is an attitude. And believe me, this particular book, Chanakya in the Classroom, is so popular, so popular. There are schools, they make it a compulsory reading for the 9th and 10th standard students because it tells you how to prepare for exams also. There is a school in Tamil Nadu called as Pushpalata schools. They always purchase every year 600 to 1,000 copies only to give it to the 9th and 10th standard students because it helps you to prepare not only for exams, but the exam called life. So friends, the second book I would recommend is Chanakya in the Classroom. And third, definitely, is Chatur Chanakya. Chatur Chanakya is about how to think strategically in your education system. So of course, it's a little character that we developed. It's like a superhero called Chatur Chanakya, but that will help you to think strategically. So read all the books, but start with Corporate Chanakya, Chatur Chanakya, Chanakya in the Classroom. And yes, let me not forget, the fourth book, which is a very national award-winning book, it is called Chanakya in You. That's a book which is quite popular among the college students. It tells you how to actually become successful in life. So the story of a young boy out of college, he doesn't know what to do in life. And then he studies Chanakya and becomes very, very successful in life. So also read Chanakya in You. And you can finish off the whole book in one reading. So it's a very, very nice story book. So it's a novel format, so you can read it. So these are the 3-4 books that I would recommend. But definitely, whenever you have time in your lifetime, read all the 17 books. Or maybe by that time I have written 25 books. Thank you.
So we hope that you write 25 books by the time we grow up. So thank you for your recommendations. So you mentioned your works with the Mumbai University and the CIILS, the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. Could you just describe your work? And you also mentioned about changing the system from a examination system to an education system once. So could you just elaborate on that as well?
Thank you so much, Harsh. I'm so glad you're asking the right questions because I always love the right question because answer to mujhe hi dena hai na. So again, I will tell you, I've been very fortunate. I've been so fortunate. I told you the book happened to me. Same thing happened with Mumbai University. So when I did my PhD, I was already married. I was already a businessman. Please understand this point. I did not do a PhD for the sake of getting some government job in some college, because nowadays, if you want to become a professor in a college, PhD is like a minimum, And today, India's education system is growing. A lot of people are getting educated. I never had that attitude, but I always believed in research. So I did very good research, and you'd be surprised in my research, in my PhD, I actually got a gold medal also. Okay, and the best part is that in the research thing, there are many awards that I got. So there's an Avishkar award where I got a gold medal. Then I got the Governor's Fellowship. What is the meaning of the governor's fellowship? It means, the governor, who is the head of the chancellor of all universities. So there is a fellowship. That means your research is understood and it is actually now funded by the government directly. I never knew this, but my PhD guy, Dr. Shubha Joshi, said, apply. I said, I don't want to apply. That doesn't matter. You'd be surprised I got it. So now you look at it. So one is, after marriage, you actually become a good student. It's quite surprising, right? So many times during the student days, I was an average student. Not that I was a failure, I was an average student. But my interest in Chanakya grew so much that actually I studied very well after the student days and the formal student days. But then what happened is that I'm also a very good organizer. If you want to ask me or ask anybody around my friend circle, they'll like, Radha, my name is Radhakrishnan Pillai. They call me Radha in my friend circle. Mr. Dependable. So if you want to organize anything, just give it to Radha. So, in the Mumbai University, I started organizing a lot of programs. Like, in college events you do, right? So I used to get a lot of funds also. So it is not just about organizing. So when you're organizing a college festival, and suppose you also get sponsorship, I'm sure your college management will be very happy. So this happened with me also. I used to organize a lot of programs. We did a lot of projects. I used to get crores of rupees into Mumbai University, not just lakhs, okay? So they saw here is a person who comes from the industry, because I was already running my business parallelly, okay? So this student days is a parallel to me. And here is a guy who understands strategy, management. He studied Chanakya, he's applying it, he's well educated. So all these things happened. So thanks to the Mumbai University and specifically 2-3 people, I would say, Dr. Shubha Joshi, my PhD guide, and the Vice Chancellor, they came and told me that, listen, that time it was Sanjay Deshmukh sir. And then since then, all the Vice Chancellors, even till now, they've been always supporting me. They said, here is a person. So around 4 years ago, our Vice Chancellor called me and said, Radha, now we want you to start an institute. I said, institute? What institute? So like we have one college, so we want an institution. Like we have Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. Okay. Why don't you think about starting an institute on leadership? I said, leadership? Because my PhD was in Chanakya and leadership. And as you know, I was doing very well and I applied that. We had done so many projects. He said, why don't you start? Then I said, I don't know about all this thing, but my guide, Shubha Joshi, madam, don't worry, I will help you. And can you believe it? We started an institution. It's the first institution in the whole world, okay, which is a part of Mumbai University, which offers a postgraduate degree in leadership. Okay, so after engineering, what? Typically, people go for the MBA and things like that. But I have students who have completed their MBAs. I have 3 medical doctors. Okay, I have people who have completed their PhD also who are my students. Can you believe that? I have people who come from different parts of the world to attend the 2-year program. I have a lady who comes from UAE. I have people coming from different parts of India. Even I was surprised because here is a person who is understanding Chanakya and teaching Chanakya. But remember, it is not Radhakrishnan Pillai taking a coaching class. It is not a private tuition. It is a Mumbai University postgraduate degree. Like all of you will be getting an engineering degree, right? From the university itself. The same way we offer a PhD also now. I was quite surprised. I never applied for a job. It came to me. And believe me, the rating is so good. The rating of our institutes is so high that people are suddenly recognizing it. And I have a request to everyone, and I will pass on the information to you if you want to join this particular course. Of course, with the COVID problem, anybody who wants to develop the leadership skills along with management skills, this is the thing. So asking and answering your question, how did this happen? Even I wonder, how did this happen? क्योंकि मैं तो चुपचाप अपना बिजनेस कर रहा था. ये कहाँ से चाणक्य आ गया, कहाँ से PhD हो गया और कहाँ बैठ के today I'm officially the director at the Chanakya International Institute. It's like, I'm the principal of a college by itself. And I said, okay, remember, all this is because of God's grace and the knowledge of Chanakya. So my journey is amazing. So just to summarize it, there are 3 things that I do. I write books, the author part of it. I run my little business, which now I've given up to my wife. And now I'm also an academician. So I understand what students think, I understand what teachers think, and I understand what parents think. So I think this is my little bit of an academic background. Thank you.
So it's quite clear that Chanakya has influenced your life since the beginning, since the childhood you've been studying him. So could you describe the impact of his teachings, the lessons that you took away from him in your own personal life?
So I think you have to, when you join a gym, there is generally an ad given, before, after. So before you join that gym, you are a mota sa or patla sa or whatever, so you are a very unhealthy person. But after the gym, at least they advertise, I don't know the reality. But after that, you become a six-pack guy, or a thin girl, whatever your aim is. So if you were to just look at that gym that happened in my life was Chanakya. So you have to look at Radhakrishnan Pillai before Chanakya and Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai after Chanakya. Okay. So you would be surprised. It's just like I get surprised, my family gets surprised, my friends surprised. Ye wahi Radha hai kya? In fact, I remember I was once taking a lecture in the Mumbai University, and that day, fortunately or unfortunately, was also my birthday. Okay, so we had this whole day lecture, and during lunchtime, my student said, sir, we have a small surprise for you. So somewhere in the back of the mind, I knew because it was my birthday that somewhere cake cutting sab hoga na. So they took me into the classrooms. All my students were there. And they were like, okay, cake. I was very happy. So, oh, wow, my students are now getting the cake. But they said, when I was going to cut the cake, wait. What happened? What is the surprise? Cake to aa gaya surprise. Piche dekhiye. When I looked behind, my parents were there. Okay, my father and mother. Oh, wow. The students were so smart. They got my parents on my birthday. It's such an emotional thing because I was a director of the university. Think about it. My parents must have never thought that I'll become like this because I was a very average student. पढ़ाई लिखाई करेगा, job करेगा, शादी हो जाएगा. The typical Indian parent, And you'd be surprised when I look back, my parents were there. And then I cut the cake and all those things. And all my students asked my father to actually, and my mother to tell me about Radhakrishnan Pillai. So for my father, I'm still a child, isn't it? So, and he told something very nice. I have seen my son from the beginning. But let me tell you very frankly, my father admitted this. I had much hopes about him in life. Another average student, so maybe he'll do decently well. But he told something that, Radha's life has changed. That means my life has changed because of two reasons. Okay, the first reason is that his study always was very dedicated. He was always a good student, not just academically, but also with attitude. So understand, academically being a good student, you get marks and jobs. But the attitude is to keep learning. And the second thing my father told, apart from being attitude of a good student, he always had good friends. Remember one thing, if you want to be successful in life, you should surround yourself with good friends. So when I was listening to my father, I said, okay, my father can also see the difference. So before and after. And my father is also a writer. Okay, so he reads all my books. He's my first critic and my best friend. So you always look at it. So coming back, has Chanakya changed my life? I would say not just changed my life, transformed my life. And what is the difference between change and transformation? We change clothes every day, isn't it? So that's change, which is natural. You have to keep changing, otherwise you'll not survive in this world. Change is a natural process, but transformation is something that happens from within. Okay, it is not change. It's 10x. You're in a different world. You're a totally different personality altogether. So when I look at the way I used to think maybe 20 years ago, and now when I think, it is not different. It is opposite. So it's like not getting a job. Now it's about creating jobs. And let me tell you, the first, or I say the most important change that happened is मेरी सोच बदल गई. The way I used to think previously and now what I think, it's very different. Even my family people, they say, when Radha says something, it happens. तो मैं कोई भविष्यवाणी नहीं कर रहा हूँ. So whenever I make a statement, it happens. A lot of people have come to me, how can you predict the future? I say, I don't predict futures. I know patterns of the future. What is a pattern? Chanakya actually told us how to think in structures. So all of your engineering students, right? So you are the logical people, you are good in mathematics, physics. So that is why your engineering teaches you to think in structures, isn't it true? So engineering is a very, very mathematical, measured game, isn't it true? So if you want to be a good engineer also, you should understand Chanakya. So for me in my life, everything that comes in, even a thought, I can actually structure it very well. And I can know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 5th stage you will reach success. And you will be surprised, that pattern thinking has gone into my head. And on an average, okay, I at least manage 500 projects simultaneously. How many? 500 projects simultaneously. I'm writing books. I'm active on my social media. Today, as I told you, I'm doing 6 webinars. I'm doing so many university projects, research projects, business projects. And people ask me, how do you do so much multitasking? And please understand, it is not one businessman doing 5 businesses. It is businessman is one, okay, teacher is another, author is another. You cannot have 3 combinations simultaneously. Apart from that, I play a musical instrument, I write books, I meditate. So many people say, ye kaise hota hai? मतलब हो सकता है when you study Chanakya and understand Chanakya. Because a leader has to be a multitasker, isn't it true? So I would say when I look at myself, I said, wow, I remember what my father said. This is not my son. This is my son, but he's different from what it is. So I would suggest to all of you that the way Chanakya has transformed me, if you study Chanakya, it will transform you. And one line which I always believe in, and I've seen that in my own life, if you understand Chanakya, okay, if you truly understand Chanakya, you will not understand what is failure. Okay, so I don't say study Chanakya to become successful. No, study Chanakya, you can never fail. So that is the beauty. So all my books become bestsellers. All my projects become successful. Whenever I do any project, it is always financially successful. Remember, so if you want to look at it from a business angle or financial angle, I have never made loss in any single project. In fact, I'm always surplus. How? Chanakya. This is the answer for thousands of things that I do. Thank you.
That is exactly what we wish to take away from this session, the patterns and Chanakya's teaching, so that we can learn from our failures and succeed enormously in our lives. So you mentioned the works of Acharya Chanakya in the initial part of the session. So could you describe his teachings and the impact of it in today's world as we live right now, and in the corporates or in the business world, anywhere? Could you describe his impact, his teachings right now?
Yeah, I think, see, Chanakya's teachings are not ancient. Chanakya's teachings are eternal. What does it mean? वो कल भी था, आज भी है और कल भी रहेगा. For example, there are certain things we don't realize it. They don't change with change. They don't change with time. For example, maybe our grandparents or great-grandparents, they always were concerned about health. Isn't it true? Maybe their medical systems were different. They lived more with nature. But today also we will talk about health, isn't it true? So tomorrow we have International Yoga Day. That is also about health. After 10 generations also we want to be healthy, isn't it? So health will be always there, which is constant. But maybe the exercises will change. So maybe, 3 generations ago there were no gyms. But now, thanks to all the engineering developments, you say we go to gymming. But then you say it's okay. There are advanced medical systems. Okay, so this systems can change, but the basic thing is called health. That doesn't change. In the same way, human beings, whether it is today or thousands years ago or thousands years later on, require some basic 4 or 5 things only. They require food to eat. Okay, because anybody who is living requires food to eat. That's the basic thing. They require love and concern and caring by the family and the relatives and the friends, isn't it? So love is a very important element for human survival. So what I'm saying is, if you look at life, you will be surprised. A lot of things are very, very common, and life is actually very simple. We make it complicated. Now, coming back to Chanakya, Chanakya spoke about these natural principles that make you successful. So, for example, I always tell you, if you want to be successful, please understand you have to have 4 things in life. Okay, physically fit. Okay, you have to be physically fit. Now, many people ask me, how are you so fit? Of course, I do yoga every day. I eat the right food. But if I don't be physically fit, I'm not physically fit, I can't do anything else. Imagine mota banke bed jaun, I can't even get up. Today I'm 45 and I've been doing so much activity. So first is physical fitness, and Chanakya speaks about physical fitness a lot. The second is mental alertness. It's very, very important. So you have to be mentally sharp. So there are concepts like Samadhana Dandaveda. You must have used. So you have to have strategy in place. Physically fit, mentally alert, intellectually brilliant. Very important. So, you can't be a Dumbo or a fool. And please understand, intelligence doesn't mean only academically brilliant. Okay, and many times people think that IQ, he got good marks. Sometimes I've seen, academically brilliant students, they may get their first job, but they may not be successful in their career. I know of IIT IIM guys been told to leave their company after 3 months of recruitment, saying that no, you don't know. Because see, you may be an intellectual from one standpoint, but you don't understand what is called as the other types of intelligence. Teamwork is also intelligence. Getting leadership quality is also intelligence. So physically fit, mentally alert, intellectually brilliant, and spiritually strong. So it's not like a lot of people are intellectually brilliant, but you know what? If you don't have the faith in God, if you don't have spirituality, you can be the most destructive person. Look at a lot of the villains in the modern day or even olden days. Ravana, Don't you think he was physically fit? What physically fit? He had 10 heads. Okay, so he's physically fit. So mentally, he was like very, very alert. He knew exactly what's happening where. And, he was like very, very sharp. And he was so mentally sharp that, in Ramayana, if you read, he knew the right person for the right job. And who were the chief security officers of Lanka? It was females. So if you know, when Hanumanji went into Lanka, it is a lady who stopped him. So gatekeeper is not a male, it is Lankini. So he was intellectual, mentally very, very alert. He knew what to do. Mentally very, very, this, and of course, intellectually brilliant. That's very, very important. He was so brilliant. Imagine he was so scientifically advanced in his days that basically he had Pushpaka Viman. Ram had to go with all the monkeys. But Hanuman just came with a Pushpaka Viman, took it an aeroplane during those days. And the whole Lanka was Sone ki Lanka. So it was materially very rich. So if you look at Ravana, he's like on the first 3 levels, and I don't think anybody could have been so brilliant. On the 4th level, the spiritually strong is where he failed, So he got into that ego trip. And then that's where the destruction happened. Imagine Hanumanji could come and burn the whole Lanka. So my dear friends, I'm going to connect this to Chanakya. So if you study Chanakya, you become very, very clear in these 4 steps. So physically fit is very important. So Chanakya is teaching leadership qualities, isn't it? So leader has to be physically fit. You can't be, unhealthy. And because if you are physically not fit, your mind will be always worried about your body. Ped dukh raha hai, haath dukh raha hai, pair dukh raha hai. The more you age, the body will start aching, which is the natural process. So Chanakya says, if you study it, physically fit, then mentally alert, intellectually brilliant, and very important, spiritually strong. Now, such a person, wherever he goes, has to be successful. So if he's going to the corporate world, he'll be a successful person. If he goes to the political world, he'll be a successful politician. If he goes to the business world, he'll create wealth. If he gets into teaching profession, he'll be a great teacher. So my dear friends, so once you become what Chanakya has advised you, then it's like wherever you go, you have to be successful. It's like, creating the best car before getting into the road. And wherever the road takes you, you'll be always successful. But the car has to be in good condition. So this body, mind, intellect, and spirit in you is aligning Chanakya. So if you study all books of Chanakya, I have written, of course, many books. It makes you successful even before you start your career. Because गाड़ी तो ठीक ठाक होना चाहिए चलाने से पहले. So I would suggest that don't worry which field you choose. You can be a government employee, an IAS officer, you can be any part of the world. But make yourself Chanakya before you face the world. And once you understood Chanakya and you become Chanakya yourself, any problem of the world you can face and emerge as a winner. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So that was very informative. And sir, one thing which I always adored about Acharya Chanakya is that he was a great influence. Right? He basically lobbied and influenced big people into for his plans. So, are you planning to write a book on that? Like, how did Acharya Chanakya influence people, and how was he the biggest master of minds in that time as well?
Absolutely. So I think the books that I write keeps coming to me naturally. So so it's like download chalte rehta hai. So I get an idea, I'll start writing, and it just comes down and the whole book is finished. I've written a book in 7 days, and it has become a bestseller. So writing is one part of it, but I will tell you, I like this whole concept of what you said. How was he able to influence people? Okay, that's very, very important. And second is master of psychology. I will pick up Harsh from these 2 points. So number 1 is that if you want to be successful in life, you need to understand psychology. And please understand, understanding psychology doesn't mean academically getting qualified in psychology. So a lot of people today believe, suppose I go and do a psychology course, I'll understand the human mind. No. That is an academic way of understanding how the brain works, how the human beings work. No. But psychology is something that everybody should learn. For example, see, human beings are not human beings of how they look. Okay, human beings are human beings of how they think. मैं हिंदी में अगर बोलूं तो व्यक्ति को मत समझो, व्यक्ति के सोच को समझो. सोच समझ में आ गई तो व्यक्ति भी समझ में आएगा. So what we do is that we try to understand the person. You will never be able to understand any person. till you understand the thought process of the person. वो सोचता कैसे है, सोच पकड़ में आ गई, then सब कुछ पकड़ में आ गया. So Chanakya always is scanning people, you know, it's like an X-ray machine. So if you're coming in front of me, you will have this tung sensors ready. Okay, who is he? Where did he come from? माँ पिताजी कौन है? You know, उसकी पढ़ाई कितनी है? Every input gets into a report, mental report, and says, okay, so if his qualification is, you know, third standard only, then he said, oh, ting, 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 ting. Okay, he's not too academically qualified. That becomes one part of his thinking. Ting, 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 ting. He comes from a father family where his father was a union leader. Ting, 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 ting. Already leadership quality aa gaya hai. Okay. Then ting, 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 ting. He's married. Okay. Married matlab बीवी तो गाली देगी ही उसको. So ting, 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 ting. Okay. Next thing is that he is having a lot of money. Okay. So union leader father, lot of money, not so qualified, married. Tuck, 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 permutation, report ready. He knows how to talk to them. Another person comes. Okay. This person is a very simple looking guy, simple looking. But when he talks, he starts quoting Sanskrit. Lare vidwan aaya hai, simple hai, vidwan hai. He starts discussing. पैसे के बारे में बात नहीं करता. Oh, he's not money minded. Okay. What is the objective? Why did he come? To discuss ideas. Okay. Where does he come from? He comes from a village. Oh. So a villager will think differently. A city person will think differently. An educated person will. So it's a very interesting game where he's doing a lot of permutation combinations, you know. And then the understanding of the human personality is simple. Like, you know, I remember whenever people come to me, there's one thing I definitely ask them is, what is your age? Many people don't understand that. Because, you know, when I say I'm 45, there is an indicator of understanding my psychology. Because suppose you are in your 20s and I'm in my 40s and somebody is in the 60s or somebody is in the 10 years, you know, students. Now they said, okay, there is a certain level of thinking that develops because of age. So why am I telling you this, friends, is that please understand that if you want to be successful in life, you should know how the human mind works and the other person works. And since I work with a lot of government officers, and since Mumbai University, I am also a Sarkari Babu, na? So we are called as, you know, public administrators. So we are in public service, as they say. You know? And, you know, a lot of people come to us. A lot of people come to us. It's like a flood. Okay. And sometimes there are days when I meet 1,000 people a day. Not one or two. 1,000 people come to me. They talk. Imagine a politician. So he goes for rallies. He meets lakhs of people. At least 400, 500 people every day. So if you don't understand human psychology, you will not know. You'll never understand what wo samne wale ko kya chahiye. So coming back, Chanakya was a master of psychology. He understood how society thinks, how individuals think, how community thinks, and then he could make his strategy accordingly. You do not use a sword, okay, to cut a flower. Okay? You can use it, but it's not required. In the same way, if the enemy is big, you should know which weapon to apply, what kind of an army is required. The enemy is small, you don't require a full army. So what's very important is that if you don't study human psychology, even your strategies will fail. But strategies built on human thinking is what succeeds. So be a strategic thinker, and Harsh, as you asked, be a great psychologist, understand human behavior, human thinking, and you will actually become Chanakya yourself. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. Like, we can say that he was Professor X of that time. So yeah, sir. So you have written a book which is not related to Chanakya, which is like how to write a book and make it a bestseller. So you wrote that book and you actually made that a bestseller. So for someone who wants to write a book on their relative from their family, what are your some points for that person to keep into consideration?
Okay, so yes, I have written many books, and I've written a book, How to Write a Book and Make It a Bestseller also. Even that book, if you want, you can read it. It's available online to order also. And I do workshops on that also. So now I would like to give you 3 things if you want to write a book, okay, on your own or on your subject or about somebody else. First thing, if you want to be a writer, be a good reader. So read a lot before you start writing. So it's very, very important. So for example, if you want to write a biography on somebody, or maybe your own autobiography, nothing wrong in that. But the thing is that you have to read a lot. You have to understand what are the other autobiographies, the best-selling books. Like, you know, why not read Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, My Experiments with Truth, or maybe Steve Jobs' biography, or so many great masters, you know, from across the globe, leaders from across the globe. Then you know to know the pattern. Okay, so before you become a writer, first be a reader. Second thing is that I would always suggest that, please attend a writing course. Because unfortunately, the writing that we learn in the education system is actually for writing examinations. Unfortunately, they are not creative writing. Okay, and if you go to an exam and you make something creatively, sorry, your answer has to be an exact, and especially engineering students, right? So it has to be mathematically correct. So what I would say is that, please learn creative writing. It's very, very important, because see, a lot of people have written books on the same subject, but what differentiates one between the other is the creative part of it, the presentation part of it. Do you know there are many books on Chanakya and management? Mine is not the first book. So there are so many books. I have at least seen 100 books on Chanakya and management. So it is not mine first. But what makes it different is the way I presented it. The creative angle of it is very, very important. So please attend some courses so you'll understand what is creative. And the third and the most important, that if you're writing, you should have a mentor. What do you mean by mentor? Somebody will tell you. So even the best writers, require mentors. Even a Sachin Tendulkar, who is supposed to be a born talent cricketer, required a mentor, isn't it, Ramakant Acharya? So I was saying that if you want to be a writer, great dream. In fact, I believe that everybody in India should write a book. Okay, because we've been a very not so literate country. Now very soon we are becoming an 100% literate country. But what is very important, that we also should be an intelligent country. I don't believe in a literacy only. You should have intelligence. And when you read, you become intelligent. When you write, from your intelligence, other also people benefit. So the 3 steps, Harsh, is number 1, read a lot, attend some courses, and there are so many online courses also. And the third part is that have a mentor who will tell you how to write better. Thank you.
So while talking about leadership, you mentioned understanding the person in front of you, trying to understand where he comes from and his ideas, him as a person. So I think listening plays an important role in it. So, and could you talk about how to develop a better listening habit, a better listening skill, so that we understand the person we're talking to on a better scale?
So listening skills, okay, very, very important thing. I think every leader should know how to listen properly. But a lot of people think that listening is about this. Listening is not hearing. Hearing with understanding is listening. Okay. So listening is something that God has given us. If you are not deaf, then you can listen. No. You can hear. If you have God's has given you some ears and the faculties are good. But every time when you hear a sound, maybe you will not understand it. So when you put your intelligence and your feelings behind that, then you become a good listener. So therefore, it's called as empathetic listening. To a great extent, I think females have it naturally. Okay. So that's why when you're saying something, especially when you look at your mother and everybody, they understand you better. And many times the best listeners are the one who don't want to listen to your words, but feel you, as they say. So what is very important when you're listening? So let's start with the basic. Let's say you're listening to a friend. First of all, allow him to speak, him or her to speak, So one of the very basic human need is the ability to be heard. And if you don't get heard, then people even go to the extent of committing suicide. We have seen so many cases, So first of all, if you want to really be a good human being, whether as a leader or as a common man, listen. Samne wale ko suno. Second thing is that try to feel what he's trying to communicate. Many times we don't understand the feeling behind the words because we get juggled in the words and we misunderstand the person. Okay? वो बोलता कुछ है लेकिन सोचता कुछ और है. So try to understand उसकी सोच क्या है और वो सही में बोल रहा है क्या. A lot of people may not express in words because that's a communication problem. But you as a listener should be able to understand the feelings. And that's why one of the things you should also do to become a better listener is to study body language. Okay, so when somebody is speaking and his body is shaking, that means he's not stable. There is something irritating. He's looking here and there. That means mind is not stable. So understand body language, and then you can get a sense of it. Okay, and in Chanakya's language, if I were to call it, this process is called Anvikshiki. So I've written a book called Inside Chanakya, so Anvikshiki and the art of thinking. It is how to think and understand the person beyond words. And one of my translations of Anvikshiki in a very simple way is the ability to listen to what is not being said. Okay. Okay, one of the thing is the ability to listen to what is not being said, read it in between the lines. Okay, also to read in between the lines, and of course, see what is not shown. So even that is a very internal processing. Listening is not just about words or hearing, it's about understanding the person through words or without words. Develop that, you will be a great human being. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So also when we speak about king or leaders, there is always that sense of fear that that something could be screwed up or something could not work out in a certain probable manner. And what does a king or a leader fear? And does a king or a leader fear? That is what I wanted to ask.
So please understand this. There are two kind of leaders. One is the real leaders, whom Chanakya calls as Raj Rishi. They are very spiritually evolved. Okay, so such leaders do not have fear. In fact, fear fears them. For example, one of the very great leaders our country had is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was the president of our country. I have met him so many times. I've been fortunate to even share diets with him many times. In the case of Abdul Kalam, sir, he never feared because he was a missile man of India. He was very humble. So I think that first highest quality of a leader is to become fearless. In fact, our Shastras also say, our scriptures. In fact, there is a very famous composition that comes in Mahabharata. It's called Vishnu Sahasranama. Okay. So it is like 1,000 names of the Lord, let's say. In fact, the Lord is also a leader, So one of the qualities is called Abhayam. Abhayam and jisko bhay nahi hai. We have a name also. I think it's a very common name called Abhay. Abhay Diol and Abhay so and so. So it is a quality. To fear is natural, but to overcome fear is leadership. Let me tell you, instinctively, whenever an enemy comes, I think the leader will get that doubt in his mind, right? So Field Marshal Manik Shah said something very nice. If somebody tells me that I am not afraid of death, I know that either he's lying or he's from the Gurkha regiment. Okay, so if somebody tells I am not afraid of death, तो definitely वो झूठ बोल रहा है, या तो वो Gurkha है, because Gurkhas are trained to die. Okay, for them dying is okay, ठीक है, part of life, So I think one of the things that we should realize is that fear will come, but the person who overcomes the fear is the leader. And there was a very beautiful tagline. I think it was one of those software drinks. डर के आगे जीत है. So अंदर से जीतो और बाहर का डर निकल जाएगा. Our problem is that we try to eliminate fear. You have to actually not eliminate fear, but get into self-confidence. Come out of fear, and then fear will get eliminated. Thank you.
So during even difficult or hectic situation, leader becomes a leader because he or she makes right decisions. So how can one in such hectic situation make right decisions?
So there was a businessman, so he used to be very successful. So one journalist asked him, how do you take right decisions every time? How do you take right decisions? So he said something very nice. So I take right decisions, but sometimes I take wrong decisions also. But at least I take decisions. Please understand, it is not about right or wrong. It's whether you're taking a decision. Because in many situations this have happened so complex. You don't know what is right and what is wrong. But undecided leader is the worst leader. Okay. So in many situations, like look at this current situation, COVID situation. Can you tell me which is the right decision? Whether to keep it locked down or open up? You don't have a correct answer. It's a very complicated situation. Nobody in the world, anywhere, in any generation has faced such a situation, right? In fact, I have always seen that if epidemics used to happen, okay, people can run away from one place to another. Isn't it true? But aaj bhag ke jayenge kidhar? Because everywhere it is there, right? Not only in India, but I think across the globe. So what do? So we tried the first method. I think globally everybody tried the first method of lockdown. After 2 months they realized it's not working. Now say go out. Is it the correct decision? We don't know, because the number is only increasing across the globe, not only in India or Mumbai. So how do you know what is the right decision? But the good part is that at least some decision is being taken. Okay, the public may not like it. There'll be a lot of things against it, for it. The media may not accept it. Whatever it is, the reality is that there is somebody who tells, let us at least do something. Let us have trial and error. So I'll tell you what Chanakya says, that in any new situation, there is something called as experimentation. But those who fear doing experiment will neither succeed, neither lose. So it's better to take some decisions rather than taking no decisions. Okay, so let me quote Bill Gates as a leader. So he was once asked by a journalist, and he said, you start so many projects, you invest in so many companies, you hire so many people. What if it fails? What if it fails? You know what was the answer of Bill Gates? What if it succeeds? So this is a very profound thought. So the thought itself is not about failure. The thought is, okay, I'm experimenting, but agar chal pada to. So this is what investors do. When they invest in startup companies, they look at the potential of success rather than the probability of failures. So understand, the leaders also have to, I will have to take a decision, right or wrong, only time will tell. So there is nothing of perfect science. But what I'm saying, I come analytically to the closest possible thing which is analytically correct. But the reality is that all analytics may also fail. So that's for that thing called the gut feeling. After logic, when you take that gut call, is when you actually become a leader. Leaders' only duty is to take decisions. As much as possible, the right decisions. If not the right decisions, some decisions. But decision making makes you a leader. Thank you.
So that was very helpful. And also, we have now our thin liner, after which we have a guess the unfolder winner who will ask his questions, and then we'll move on to rapid Q&A. So moving on to thin liners, with this point only, sir, about the decisions and कि एक decision लेना चाहिए. My question is, what is the difference between a wishful thinking and optimism?
Yeah. Okay, very good point. So, I like this few words that you're connected. They are very, very close to each other, but different from each other. Wishful thinking is like dreaming about it, right? Okay, so I wish I'll be the Prime Minister of India. I wish I'll be the CEO of this particular company. That's a wish. But remember, when the wish becomes a will, okay, then you actually achieve success. So a person who wills to be successful actually has to be optimistic. So a lot of people wish, I think all of us in our childhood have written this particular essay in our school days. If I were the Prime Minister of the country or President of the country, whatever, you remember that? That is wishful. But the reality is that far out of people may actually, not only wish, but will it. But when you will it, you have to be optimistic. So the route to success is not just wishful thinking, but strategic thinking along with optimistic thinking. Because you may will also, but for will to happen, you should be positive and optimistic. So that's the difference between wishful thinking and optimistic thinking. And without optimistic thinking, you'll never be successful. So be willful and be optimistic to achieve your goals in life. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. The second thin liner about on decisions. What is the difference between a quick decision and an impulsive decision?
Very good question. I think I have already spoken about this in length in some other interviews. See, impulsive decision means it is without thinking. Okay, so something comes to us like this. Something comes to us. Now, let's say mosquito bites you. Your fingers naturally go there. The thing is that is impulsive, which is like, it's a stimulus. But human beings have something beyond just impulse, and that is called intelligence. So when you are impulsive, you use the I in you, which is impulse. But those who use intelligence while responding actually are the ones who take quick decisions. So let me explain the next part of it. Suppose somebody attacks you. Okay. So there is a time. Okay, there are 10 seconds. So most of the time, 9 out of 10 people will actually take an impulse. Bhago, bhago, bhago. So aag lag gayi hai, whatever. Dushman ne attack kiya hai. Everybody runs. But one person says, wait. At least I've got 10 seconds. Okay. So let me consult somebody. Let me check somebody. So you have to take a quick decision because the fire is already there. Okay. So you can't delay it and say, okay, let me think about it. You can't overanalyze. That's the danger. But at least you can analyze it, take a few seconds and take a quick decision. So I'll tell you, if you practice it over a time, you can perfect this art. And this is exactly what happens with fighter pilots. Okay. So when fighter pilots are actually flying in the, let's say, the enemy's territory, they cannot bomb somewhere impulsively. Okay. But they have to be quick because the fighter plane is going on super speed, isn't it? So they see something and they have to process the whole thing so fast, and that quickness, intelligent decision to just bombard and hit the target is quick decision. Now, many people from the outside may not understand the difference between impulsive and quick decision, but the processing that happens internally is very logical. There's a system to it, and the speed can be reduced. So once you get a pattern hold of it, you'd be surprised you'll be able to hit the target quickly, not impulsively. So that's the answer for not impulsive decisions, but quick decisions. In between is your intelligence, which processes it. Thank you.
That was very informative, and whenever we speak about decisions, always thinking plays a major role. So now, this is my third question: the difference between overthinking and deep thinking. What is the difference?
Okay, very nice question again. I love these words that you're using again. See, overthinking is over analysis. So somebody had said very nicely, analysis leads to paralysis. So what happens, and we don't realize this, that analysis after a point can become a very negative habit. अगर हिंदी में उसको बोलो कि चिंता करने के जगह में चिंतन करने के जगह में हम चिंता करते हैं. So when you overanalyze a particular thing, then what happens is your mental energy gets drained. In fact, I'm a student of brain science, how the brain works scientifically. They say if you have to take a decision, if you keep thinking about it too much times, that existing problems automatically becomes bigger. Okay, so you give power to that problem. The problem may be small, but you overanalyze it and the problem because it becomes so big that it can consume you. So what I'm saying that overthinking is not good, but not thinking is also not good. So the extreme is overthinking, and therefore there is some statement called as doubting Alec. He keeps doubting, kya hoga. He's not stupid, he's intelligent, but he's using the intelligence for the wrong reason. He's worrying about the problem. But deep thinking is almost like research. Okay, deep thinking is going into the root cause of the problem and finding out a solution. In fact, in the management field, there is a process called as a root cause analysis. So there you are not over analyzing, you're going to the depth of the problem. So, suppose you have a stomach ache. So what the doctor does is that he analyzes it. He goes into a report. He does deep thinking. He does testing. So scientists actually do deep thinking. And people like us, without any scientific background, what we do is worrying. So stop worrying, start thinking. That's your answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So it brings to my last question. Again on leadership. What is the difference between staying alert and staying fearful?
So as I told you last time also, alertness is a state of mind. You're always alert. Okay. And the training, if you are mentally alert, anything that happens around you, you'll become very, very, very alert. You'll be very ready for attack. Those soldiers are alert. Okay. But they're not fearful. So if you look at the soldiers training, some of the movies on war, you'll see they're very alert. One little sound here, they're like, tuck. But please understand, fear is always about the unknown. Fear is always about, for example, this curtain is there, in the night, the curtain starts moving. Okay. Now the thing is that the same movement can either make me alert or it can make me fear. Okay. So I have to stop and think, okay, this window, this is moving. And the first thing, impulsively, uske piche bhoot hai, there is a ghost behind it. So what happens? The movement suddenly makes you fearful, isn't it? So you never see. But then you wait and said, okay, let me be alert about it. Why is it moving? Is there a person behind it? Could be also. Sometimes thieves come and also. But there you're not allowing the fear to overtake you. You're alert. Second thing is you apply and saying that, why is it moving? Maybe the window is open and there's a wind actually passing by. So what happens? The same instance, okay, two different responses. So one is a reaction and one is a response. So in response, you take your time. So when something new comes to you, the natural thing is to fear because it's unknown, isn't it? First time problem. So in COVID case also, it's fear that is, what is it? Wait, what I'm saying is that let's be alert about it. So keep social distance, keep maintaining your, whatever duty is supposed to be done. Don't go and mix up too much, whatever. So this is the difference between fearing a particular situation and being alert about a situation. It's a mental state. The more you are alert, the more you'll be successful and the more you'll understand Chanakya. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for this. Before moving on to our winner, I would like to say that this was like very helpful for me as well because many of the questions were my personal now. So before moving on to our guest, the unfolder winner, who is Mr. Rudra Joshi from Gujarat, I would like to inform Rudra that we are very less on time and we have to take the question from the chat box. So
Yeah.
Rudra, could you just quickly shoot in your questions? Over to you.
Yeah. I'll make sure I do that. Before that, Radhakrishnan sir,
Yeah.
it is truly humbling to be a part of it because your absolute presence is knowledgeable. Thank you very much, sir. I'll make sure I send the question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, sir. It's truly an honor to be a part of it, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So would you select the questions and read it out for me, please? Whichever you think is right.
You know what? I'll just say it out now because that will not waste much of a time. If that's
Yes,
convenient.
Yeah, that will be nice.
Okay, sir. So my first question is, what are the qualities that today's Chandragupta must cultivate himself before he sets out to find Chanakya for himself?
Okay. So there are three qualities that every student, or I would say Chandragupta, should have. Number one is called self-study. Don't wait for a teacher and then you start studying. And a lot of people go and then only during the exam time they actually study. So the real student is not waiting for the teacher to come and then start studying. Start studying, and believe me, the right teacher will come. The second quality is called Shraddha in the teacher. See, if Chandragupta Maurya doubted Chanakya, he would have never become a king. So what I'm saying, and many times, unfortunately, because of our over-intelligence, we start questioning our teachers only. I'm not telling you not to question the teachers or accept anything which is illogical. But there is a Sanskrit word, it's called Shraddha. Okay, Shraddha means faith in the teacher. See, the problem in our generation is basically we are too over-informed. So even before the teacher answers, the Google Devta will tell you what is there. But remember one thing, that Google search is not research. Google search is not that. That is information gathering, and it's good because information is the starting point of research, no doubts about it. But the teacher is more important than technology or information. Understand this. So Chanakya was a teacher, and Chandragupta Maurya had faith in him. The second thing we need to develop is actually the quality of Shraddha. The teacher may not have great communication skills also. Many times we compare, he's a great teacher. Actually, he or she may be a great orator. There's a difference between a great teacher who has got communication skills and oratory skills. But the real skill of a teacher is research, the knowledge that they bring in. Then they may be very mild, but they're very thought-provoking. They're very insightful. So develop the Shraddha in the teacher. The third quality of a Chandragupta Maurya, first I told you self-study, study before the teacher comes. The second is Shraddha. And the third quality of Chandragupta Maurya or any good student is Seva Bhav. We should not just gather information. The question is that did you serve your teacher? In the olden days in the Gurukul, they had to go and do seva. The Guru will tell, Jo, jaake bhiksha mang ke aa. So they used to go beg alms and come back. Today we don't have to do that. But at least can you serve your teacher in some way? Maybe some research project, some college events. So don't wait for the teacher to come and ask, who is a volunteer? You go and tell the teacher, sir, teacher, kuch kaam hai to bataiye. Now when you develop these three qualities, naturally the teacher will also bless you. Okay, and please don't think that this chamchagiri, as we call it, that a teacher ke piche jaake jab bhi teacher ko zarurat hai, he does and he gets good mark. No. See, I also served my teachers. I also had faith in my teachers. So serving the teacher, actually the teacher also feels so nice. Imagine you are doing something so much for the college. Don't you think the college teachers, principal will take you and say, okay, no problem. But if you're only selfish, that I have paid my fees, I need to get the degree. Nobody likes it. So coming back, the real qualities of a Chandragupta Maurya before Chanakya lives, develop these three S. Okay, it is not skills, they are quality. The first one is Swadhyaya, self-study. The second one is Shraddha, faith in the teacher and the education system, of course. And the third important thing is Seva Bhav. If you have all the three, definitely you will get the right teacher who will make you successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Based on your talks on Ranveer sir's channel on Amazon, I had also it guided me into Isha Foundation, the Sadhguru's foundation, and a year into it, I am facing a lot of benefits, and what you call transformation is truly what is experienced by me. So I am just on the path of your guidance. Thank you very much, sir. It means a lot. Thank you, sir. Harsh, over to you.
So now we'll quickly have questions from the chat, like the people who watching this session and have some queries. So the first question comes from Kunalini, wishes to know, so how to deal with procrastination.
Yeah. See, understand one, procrastination is a habit that get developed consciously or unconsciously. Okay. So the beauty about a habit is that a new habit can also be formed and a bad habit can also be discontinued. Okay. So how do you replace a bad habit is by creating a good habit. Okay. But habits will always remain with us. That's the problem or the advantage also. The first question, I am very happy. I like to congratulate you that you are at least aware that you are procrastinating. A lot of people are not even aware. You know, people will call them, why are you doing it? They don't accept it. So if you're accepted, that means you're aware of the problem. Good. So that's a starting point, you know. If you're aware, okay, I'm procrastinating, now what is the solution to it? The solution is very simple. You know, there is a science and some theory has proven that anything that you do for the first, for 21 days, it becomes a habit forever. So what I'm saying, let's say, for example, you are supposed to get up every day, let's say at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever. And then the habit is that, you know, you're getting up late every day. You're not sticking to your time. Okay, so that becomes a procrastination. So every time, and you are worried about it. What you do is 3 steps, and this works. Okay, and this has worked with me. It has worked with millions of people across the globe. First thing is that now take a decision. Okay, for example, you're supposed to wake up at 7 o'clock, as an example. Don't push yourself that I'll wake up at 4 o'clock. Now, you know, that's, you know, troubling your own internal system. Give yourself some time. So at least wake up half an hour early. Okay. So if you are able to get up at 6:30, you'll get the confidence. Okay. So start doing that for the next 21 days. Or let's say for that round figure, 1 month. So what I would suggest is that take a diary and write down every day. Okay. If your decision is to wake up at 7 o'clock, 6:30 target it and write it down. Believe me, first day it will be difficult. Okay. Second day it will be difficult. But third, fourth day, over a period of a time, your body clock will start waking you up. So it's like going to a gym. First time you go and it pains, but that doesn't mean you leave it. Second day, third day, then your muscles get used to it. So the thing is that practice this for 21 days or 30 days and keep a diary. You will see that, you know, sometimes your mind will flip. Maybe 3 days you're able to do it, 4 days you don't do it. That's okay, but continue. After 30 days now, that is becoming a natural process. The second thing I would say is that have somebody called as a buddy. So, you know, if you have a problem, your mind and you are working alone, maybe your family, your siblings, your friends, anybody, you know, your mother, you tell them, I have to wake up at 6:30. Now, just by putting it on the mobile may not work. The alarm clock may not work, you know. So what I'm saying is that have a buddy. So when you're going to the gym, you have a gym buddy. When you're studying, you have a study buddy. So, you know, so they will push you. So you push them, they push you. So one is self-discipline, that you keep writing your own and doing it, buddies. And the third important thing is called self-punishment. What is self-punishment? Yes, very important. Like if you don't do it, no, the mind will say, "Ye to chalta rahega." So your biggest enemy is your mind. So you tell the mind, if I don't wake up at 6:30, you will not go to the party, or you will not eat that ice cream which you loved a lot. You know? So mind is like, what else? So you are fight. There's an internal fight. So what you do? You tell the mind, listen, and now I'll punish you. And actually, if you don't wake up, within you, the mind is fearing you. Okay, so you have to win the mind. And suppose you decide to go for a party or a movie, say you did not wake up at 6:30, we did not complete our studies, I will not go. And believe me, you have to punish yourself. I mean, punishing yourself doesn't mean you start killing yourself. Huh? So don't go the extreme. So then what happens the next time the mind says, oh, I missed my movie, my time with my friends, my ice cream. Then it becomes alert. Okay, it is a Chanakya strategy called Dandaniti. Okay, so it's very important that you do that little bit of a trick with your own mind. So when you do that, the mind says, oh, I can't be alert. So, you know, it's like taming a wild horse. So if you've seen, you know, how animals are trained, they don't like being controlled. Your mind also doesn't like being controlled. But slowly, you give a little bit of a punishment. Also love the mind. At the same time, if you are able to achieve that 6:30, okay, for, you know, 30 days, then also reward yourself. So one is punishing yourself, reward yourself. Okay, good. So you have achieved it. Now let's go for a party. Come on. So the whole idea is that, you know, somewhere you have to work with yourself. So first take a self-discipline, 30 days challenge. Second is have some buddies. And the third is self-imposed punishments and also rewards. Definitely it will work. There is a Kabir ka doha which says, Kal kare so aaj kare so ab. Isn't it? And sometimes we postpone it, especially we Indians. Aaj kare so kal kare so parso. Itni bhi kya jaldi hai jab jeena hai barso. And इस जन्म में नहीं हुआ तो अगले जन्म में हो जाएगा. So postponement is not good. It is the most dangerous habit that we can get into. So you try this, and I'm sure it will succeed. Thank you.
So you said the first step of making changes to habits is being aware about it. So Bhuj wishes to know, how do you become more self-aware, and how do you go on to find your passion through it?
Yeah. So I think two questions in this. How do you create self-awareness, and how do you find your passion? So the self-awareness, I would suggest the very simple, basic meditation. Okay. If you want to be aware of yourself, you have to spend time with yourself. Please understand there is a big difference in being alone and being lonely. So, the problem is that people don't enjoy being alone. If you don't enjoy your own company, you can never find happiness with others. So, the best way to be alone is to spend time with yourself, and it can be basic 20 minutes a day. And when I say meditation, just sit quietly. I'm not even talking about the spiritual samadhi and all those. Sit quietly. Just enjoy yourself. Your mind will not even like, sitting alone without a mobile or a technology gadget. Your mind keeps always going out. So it's called beharmukhi. वो हमेशा बाहर देखता है. It likes something outside. But slowly turn yourself inside. It's called the antarmukhi. The face goes inside. The mind goes inside. So if you're able to enjoy being alone, slowly the awareness comes in. A lot of people, get frightened when they sit for meditation the first time. Only negative thought comes in. I say, congratulations, at least you are aware of your thoughts. Negative or positive is the next question, but at least you are aware of it. So I think the first step is sit down, enjoy being alone, but don't become lonely, because after that you have to come out and speak to people. Otherwise you'll get into mental health problems. So first thing about awareness is basically spend time with yourself. In the initial stages, if you want some anchor to it, maybe read some books, listen to some music. So in the initial stages, some people like to listen to music, so the mind calms down. So very important that self-awareness starts with being alone with yourself and being happy with yourself. And of course, then the meditation goes to the next level. Now coming back to how do you find the purpose of your life? First things first, the purpose of every individual is different from the other. Okay. So there are 10,000 people, there are 10,000 purposes. Purpose is a connect that you get with yourself and you feel happy about it. Okay. So somebody found happiness in being a businessman doesn't mean you will be happy being a businessman. In fact, you'll be frustrated. Somebody finds being happy in an engineer, but I think 90% of them may not. So what is important is that purpose in life is original only to you. And it happens in a moment when sometimes you don't plan it, it just happens. For example, Mahatma Gandhi found his purpose in life in a very strange situation. And he was pushed out from a train. Can you believe that? Somebody was pushed out from a train actually found a purpose in life. And I always tell this, if you study the life of Mahatma Gandhi, before that, he was not even a great lawyer. He was not a very successful lawyer, Maybe he was educated as a lawyer, but how many cases have you heard about him winning? No ordinary. But when she found a purpose, no, this is not accepted, this is not right, and then he fought, and imagine the whole British Empire came down. I found my purpose in my life when I went to Kailash Mansarovar. I remember I was looking at the beautiful mountain Shivji, and then the thought came into my mind, so I should spread Chanakya and I should study and dedicate my life to Kautilya Arthashastra. And sometimes I felt very funny, ye kya thought hai? But that thought builds on you. Sometimes it could be, starting an NGO. Remember, it could be anything. It can be anything for anybody. So I don't want to say my purpose should be your purpose. But I'll tell you one parameter. How do you know whether it's your purpose in life? Number one, once you find your purpose in life, nobody can stop you. Second is, whatever be the problems, you don't think it as problems. So even there is challenges, that theek hai, koi baat nahi yaar, I'm enjoying the purpose. And another indicator of a purpose, it should never be selfish. A lot of people think that, this is my purpose. No, this could be a goal in life. It could be one object. The purpose of life is larger than you. So look at me, Chanakya and Chanakya's knowledge to be spread is my purpose of my life. And I always wonder this, how do I get so much energy? 6 webinars and I'll still continue doing a lot of things. I said, no, because I'm not doing it for myself. My teacher taught me, it's my duty, So what is important is that purpose energizes you. It gives you that ability. And then let me tell you, you don't require an alarm clock to wake up. then something strange happens within you. A very big fountain of energy comes bursting out, and the expression can be in different fields. And Mother Teresa can do it for the poor people. Somebody can do a painting. Somebody can become a sports person. Somebody can become a businessman. Somebody can become a teacher. But remember one thing: the purpose keeps you going, and the purpose keeps you inspired. And the day you find it, you will be transformed. May God help you to find your purpose. Thank you.
So, sir, I'll just take one more last question. I know we're short in time and we've exceeded our slot, but two of us, you mentioned your teachings. I mean, you learned a lot from your teacher, and Dinesh and Pallavi, two of them wish to know, like, first of all, why should you have a guru in your life, and how do you find one?
Yeah, okay. So number one, in any field, okay, in any field you'll require a teacher or a guru. Okay. So understand one thing, that suppose if you look at sports, okay, so you want to play basketball, badminton, there is a coach over there, isn't it true? Okay. So it is not that the coach is not required. You can try playing, but that's okay. But the thing is that the coach comes with certain experience and insights, and the coach's job is to shape you up. Now, understand, it is not the teacher who is important, it is the student who is more important. So we forget that I never got a good teacher. I never got a good teacher. Come on, you should be a good student and the teacher will arrive. It's a law of nature. So number one thing, that a teacher is definitely required because he polishes you. Even the best requires a coach. Even the best requires a coach or a teacher or a guru, whatever name you may give it. But don't wait for the teacher. So somebody says, मैं बांसुरी तब बजाऊंगा जब मेरे को अच्छा teacher मिल जाए. अरे, forget it. Take the flute and start playing. Make your mistakes, okay, and keep finding your guru. So the way to find your guru is to be a good student, and you keep working hard, keeps your search for guru, and God or nature or universe will definitely send you one. Don't worry about the teacher. Be a good student. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for this. We have like various questions on this thing, as in spirituality, then some controversial views of Acharya Chanakya, and there are like the autocracy and democracy and all that stuff. But we know that these questions, and most importantly, spirituality is something which could take like 20-30 minutes minimum. So we request you if we could have another session with you, because
Yes.
thanks. Thanks a lot, sir. We'll get back to you. I'll talk to Pranav sir also. And next time we'll make sure that this last minute hassle doesn't happen about the platform.
No
Mistakes from my end, apologies.
No
With
problem.
that, we would like to I'll like to give a vote of thanks to my team first, who has been a great helping hand for this. Secondly, our professors of our college and my project guide, who's also the principal of my college, Dr. G.T. Thambi. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, but yes, sir. So we would like to thank him. And lastly, sir, you. Because like not just for your session, but for the amazing work that you have been doing to revive Acharya Chanakya. I'm sorry, but I have to say that you are reviving Acharya Chanakya, and I have great respect for you because I personally revere Acharya Chanakya a lot. With that, I would like to thank you, Sara. Bye. Thanks for that. And before we end for the day, Harsh Sharma has some announcement. Over to you, Sharma.
Right, so I would like to thank you again for giving us this opportunity. Now, to anyone watching this session right now, we already have our next session planned on 26th of June, that is next Friday. We'll be releasing the Guess the Unfolder challenge today itself. So make sure to participate in it, join our WhatsApp groups to have frequent updates, and we hope to see you all again. Thank you so much for being with us here. Thank you, sir, again, and thank you, Team Unfolders, for making this happen. It's a pleasure to be hosting this.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so
Thanks a lot, Jay. Thank
much.
thank you.
आप
Thank you.
बुलाते ही हम आते रहेंगे. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.